What's up, guys? It's Sean here with the Sean Daily Football Channel, and today I have for you episode 2 of Mismanagement in Football, and that is the series where I'm going to be focusing on some of the biggest clubs in the world and the methods that the owners have used that have led to the downfalls of these companies and these clubs, both on and off the pitch. We showed and discussed Barcelona yesterday, Barcelona being pretty much the example for how not to do football at the moment and the situation they're in, billion in debt, all the stuff. If you want to get more details, episode 2, go check out the channel for that, for episode 1, sorry. And today I wanted to discuss Juventus. The Serie A Titans, this is a little bit more... You can also maybe argue this isn't a total collapse, but the signs are on the wall somewhat that Juve are in a definite negative downtrend, and many may argue, you can argue a lot of things. So let's kind of discuss this a little bit. Juventus's last title came in the end of the 2019 season, Ronaldo's second year in Turin. Not a great European showing, not great getting lost to Ajax in the Champions League, and just not all around a good enough performance. They did win the Scudetto under playing Sarri ball, but not really insanely convincingly, primarily was down to the fact that the other teams just weren't good enough at the time. With a little bit of competition, with all the other teams starting to slowly improve, we're starting to see Juve drop off hard, to the point where at the moment we have possibly one of the biggest title races in the history of the Serie A at the moment, with a 4-way race at the moment, and Juve's not even in the race. Juve is 6 points behind fourth place, and Atalanta have a game in hand. Kind of giving you a display of how far the apple has fallen and how far Juventus are currently pretty much paying the price for a lack of understanding and a lack of decision-making and correct decision-making whilst being at the top of the leaderboard and at the top of Serie A football, and many may argue the top of global football. This is a team that did reach 2 Champions League finals back-to-back years. The fact that they lost isn't actually as big of a negative as a lot of people point out to. It's more a matter that this was a successful enough team that was able to achieve there, and they would have won a treble both years by winning the Champions League under Allegri during that period of time. The main problem that football teams worldwide have struggled with over the last, pretty much since the dawn of time, is rotating a squad. And what I don't mean as far as using your team and like making substitutions and stuff. I mean more as far as flipping a squad so it is still able to compete year on year. Now, in the example of Juventus, that team 4 or 5 years ago had pretty much all the players that they have now, except you had different players and different midfielders in that team. Alessandro, Chiellini, Bonucci were a lot younger. You had Buffon, still in his prime. You had Dybala, a lot more consistent. Mandzukic, even Morata was chipping in with goals very, very well during that season. You either had Cuadrado playing much, much better. The team was all around a lot younger. The team was a lot more cohesive. Everything was moving in the right direction. Since then, they have maintained that exact same backline. For some reason, they made two of the stupidest transfer decisions in history by the trade with Pjanic and Arthur, and they're being investigated for it right now, and it could lead to them being deducted points, which is a very likely possibility because of the dodginess and the iffy money stuff that they did with that deal. Additionally, In what world did they agree to the deal with Danilo and João Cancelo? João Cancelo, during Juve time, was one of their best players. It's taken him a year or two to get used to the Premier League, but he is by far one of the best players in the Premier League right now and absolutely tearing it up for Man City. Danilo was never even close to good enough to be in the conversation with these levels of players. So it's a very mind-boggling why the Juventus board ever decided to make decisions on this transfer, why these mismanagements were consistently done. Signing players like Aaron Ramsey on £400 a week. Eventually, they were able to get rid of a lot of the Higuains, the Matuidis, the Khediras that were just sitting in the club, eating up these huge wages. And the fact is, we've gotten to a point now where the team is just primarily too old and not good enough. I'm going to give them a little bit of clout and a little bit of credit. Some signings, especially De Ligt and Chiesa in particular, have been phenomenal signings, and I am a very big fan of both of them. I think they have unlimited potential. And I do like the fact that I'm seeing Rugani get a little bit more playing time, because Juventus just need to be able to move on from this Bonucci-Chiellini backline. They're just too old. They're just not good enough anymore. And during those years where they were comfortably the top of Serie A football, Juve just didn't take advantage of that situation and really try to secure their future even more than they already could have. The signings weren't crazy. They were pretty obvious signings that they could have gone for. Chiesa is the classic Juve signing that they always do. And the thing is, right now, all around the Serie A, there is so many incredible players. Vlahovic from Fiorentina. You have Roma has a bunch of players for the taking at the moment. You go to Sassuolo, so many amazing talents. There's just, the league is littered with talent, but instead, Juve just invest in these weird players, aren't willing to rotate, aren't willing to sell players on when they should be sold on. Locatelli is not a bad purchase. I think it in the long run, his age profile actually is better. And the main thing is, Juve need to bring the average age of this team significantly down. I think just straight off the bat, I don't believe Max Allegri is at the moment good enough to be able to drag them back to their glory days. I could be very much wrong about that. Juve obviously aren't in the situation that Barca are as far as the debt. I will also caveat, I don't believe Juve has as much income as Barcelona. I believe Barca makes more money year on year. So the main thing is, Juve, the positives that you can name for them is they have made it to the second round of the Champions League, so they will be getting funded. But the lack of funds, the lack of proper investment, the lack of actual targeting and having a solid business strategy of, okay, these are the type of players we want, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to go do it. A lot of people like to mention, okay, like Real Madrid. What is Real Madrid's exact strategy? One thing's first, Real Madrid has no debt. Big positive. And Real Madrid do take seasons where they just don't buy players because they've actually been able to pick up and do smart investments over the years. Picking up players like Vinicius Jr. for 40 mil at 18. Knowing that he was going to turn into what he's becoming today. Karim Benzema stepping into that, filling the void of Cristiano Ronaldo very, very well, and being able to steer the ship. Even the losses of Ramos and Varane, which both left at the same time, maybe even a little too late, but they were able to move them on, and they were able to bring in a new team. Nacho has always been there. He's been building for a while. Eder Militao, same case. They bought him a couple seasons ago. And the process of the regrowth was there. You can argue, yes, have they let a couple players go? Kovacic, Odegaard, Ceballos. Ceballos is actually still at the club. But a lot of players have left, but the squad is still there. Ferland Mendy, Marcelo's finally out. Carvajal's pretty much on his way out. A lot of players have slowly been able to chip away. Kroos and Modric are still there, and they're still very, very effective. Effectively done. They did a great job at being able to move from that Galactico team that they had, that they won 3 Champions League on the bounce. And in all honesty, I do believe they are pretty much an Mbappe level player, which they will be getting in the summer, and potentially a Paul Pogba style player, which they will be getting in the summer, away from winning the Champions League again and becoming a clear favorite. At the moment, miles ahead of everybody else in La Liga. Solid 5-point gap at the top of the table. Very, very comfortable. They do play Atleti tomorrow. We'll see how that game goes. I honestly don't believe much about Real Madrid, and I think they're going to about Atleti, and I think they'll beat them quite convincingly and quite comfortably, honestly, because I think they play just better football at the moment. And we've seen, just based off this small example, how a team has gone with the loss of so many of their star players. In their last Champions League final, Ronaldo, Bale, and Benzema played in that final. 2 of them aren't there anymore. And they've been able to rebuild. Ramos, the core of that team, is no longer there. Casemiro is not as young as he was. Casemiro is a player that they're going to look to move on in a couple of years as well, I bet. That is a target area for Real Madrid moving forward. These are the kind of things that is done properly and is done intelligently. At the moment, Juve are just far behind the elite of Europe. They weren't good enough at that point to beat Real Madrid or Barcelona. It was the gulf was quite obvious at the time. I think Madrid and Barcelona quite comfortably won those finals. And I honestly don't think from that moment on, Juve weren't able to push forward in a positive direction and weren't able to properly assess, okay, how can we remain competitive while still maintaining this core, because the rest of Italy got their act together. This is going to be pretty much the end of this episode for the football mismanagement of the big clubs. I will be doing most likely a segment on Manchester United, a segment on Arsenal, a segment on a couple other of the big clubs around Europe, but these 2 are the biggest names that will very likely not finish in the Champions League this season, and that is a massive, massive fall from grace for both of these teams. In the situation of Arsenal, they haven't been in the Champions League for about 5 or 6 years. The case of United, it's been pretty flip-floppy since Ferguson left, but there's still definitely enough of the season, and they're not that far off. The team is actually pretty good, but they're not that far off from being able to achieve 4th place. So there is a possibility. At the moment, Barcelona being 6 points out of the 6 points away from top 4, and Juve being 6 points away with a game in hand, with an extra game, kind of tells you a story. It's not, obviously, these are not leads that are too big that can't be overcome. There's still pretty much another half of the season left. That's definitely a case, but the odds of a team being able to overcome that level of a deficit, very, very low and very unlikely in my personal opinion. But let me know what you guys think. Tell me what I'm right about. Tell me what I'm wrong about. Tell me what you think of the new setting. My mom wasn't home, so I just had to take advantage a little bit. But more than anything else, guys, thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.